8 or 24?
Number 8. 24 was more challenging.
Wednesday. So that means 3 things. 1, you're not my WCW. 2, it's a hump day. And 3, it's time for the 24 podcast. How you guys doing? I'm your host, the product of Poverty's Environment, the Chuck Paul. Episode 245, the documentary, named after the Game's debut album, This Is How We Do. Also released on G-Unit Records, executive produced by 50 Cent. And speaking of documentaries, executive produced by 50 Cent, we gonna talk about this Sean Combs' The Reckoning documentary that came on Netflix. Ooh, man, I hope you guys enjoyed that doc. I surely did. It was pretty good. 4 episodes. Let's get right to it. Well, you know what? Before we get right into it, I apologize for the audio for the last episode. I was messing around with the functions on the camera. I left it on manual, didn't put it back on auto. Just felt I had to let you guys know. I didn't buy a new mic, whatever case may be, anything like that. But I do plan on buying a new mic because I'm upgrading a lot of the software and things I'm using to do this thing here. 5 years in, I gotta start, upgrading shit. You see, I finally got my backdrop together, But let's get into this episode. The 4-part docu-series gives us some history on Diddy's upbringing, his legal troubles from the b-ball game at City College, the Steve Stout assault, which he had to pay out $500,000, to the club shooting that ended up having Shine do 10 years in prison, to his recent situation where he's spending 50 months in Fort Dix prison. So, this documentary shows a lot of things that I knew already and something that I didn't know. Like I wasn't keeping up with the whole Keefee Dee situation or even the Aubrey O'Day situation he had with her and things like that. But everyone gets their chance to speak on this. Former co-founder of Bad Boy, Kirk Burroughs, makes numerous appearances in this documentary. Craig Mack's wife makes an appearance. Eric Sermon speaks in the early parts of this documentary. Aubrey O'Day, formerly of Diddy Kane. Kalina Harper, formerly of Dirty Money. Even Lil Cease is in there for a little bit, Eric Sermon even talks about a story about him and Puff almost getting into a fight over Misa Hilton, his baby moms, And it's weird because, like I said, Diddy got a fascination of wanting to fuck with women who mess with dudes who have high statures. Because back in that day, Eric Sermon and PMD were them dudes. You know what I'm saying? And at first, Eric says, yeah, me and Misa was broken up. But then he says, we were just friends. But Diddy didn't care. Interesting. Also, Kim Porter, when she was working at Uptown, she was, I think, the receptionist. She was dated Al B. Shore. And Al B. Shore was the man at the time. Here comes Diddy again. Swooping in, taking her. You know what I'm saying? I believe he also dated one of Pac's Tupac's ex-girlfriends as well. Diddy's a weird nigga, man. He's a weird nigga. Kalina Harper, formerly of Dirty Money, she reached out to Diddy not too long ago because she was having legal issues. I believe she lost her children to a custody battle with her ex-husband. She's like, yo, I need to get better lawyers. I need $5K. And Diddy was like, nah, I got shit going on myself. I can't help you. But then in the documentary, they show video of Diddy on the phone with Kalina saying, yo, I need your help, I need your help. I need you to write me a statement, this, that, and the fourth. Then they cut to Kalina talking about, yo, this dude didn't even want to help me out when I was fucked up. And in the beginning of the documentary, she talks about how, like, yo, Diddy was like one of the only folks I could turn to look out for me. He used to hold me down, this, that, and the fourth. But as soon as she needed something, he turned his back. And then you see what happened with all this bullshit with him. He's like, yo, I need you to write a statement, this, that, and the fourth. Nasty work. Also, Kirk Burroughs, the former co-founder of Bad Boy, from its early beginnings, I believe he was the co-founder up until, I don't want to get the dates wrong, but he was part of Bad Boy from the beginning for like 10 years. And then he said he was forced to give his 25% to Diddy. I don't even think he mentioned selling it. It was taken from him. And he tried to take him to court for $25 million, the 25%, that's all he wanted. But it didn't happen. You know, also, of course, Lil Rod is in the documentary. They show videos of him with Diddy, this, that, and the fourth. Talked about Diddy only offered him like $20-something thousand after the album won all these awards and had all these great accolades. The voicemails he left Lil Rod. Like, how did they get all these pictures, video, and audio? You know? It goes to show, motherfuckers don't like Diddy as much as he think people do. And it was probably the photographer and videographer who was following him around, who had all this footage, and he probably didn't pay them either. I'm just saying. All this money and you ain't paying folks? How did they get all this shit? But I did mention this in the previous episode, but the audio was so nasty that Diddy's lawyers jumped in and made these statements. Exclusive statement from Diddy's rep on 50 Cent's new documentary on Netflix. Here's what they allege. We have confirmed that Netflix used footage that were never authorized for release, including private moments, pre-indictment material from an unfinished project, and conversations involving legal strategy that were not intended for public viewing. The footage was created for an entirely different purpose, under an arrangement that was never completed, and no rights were ever transferred to Netflix. A payment dispute between outside parties does not create permission for Netflix to use unlicensed private material. None of this footage came from Mr. Combs or his team, and its inclusion raises serious questions about how it was obtained and why Netflix chose to use it. In response to the new Diddy documentary in Netflix, Diddy's team is also alleging that Netflix is also heightening the core issue by giving creative control of this production to Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. Diddy's team continues with their allegations. 50 Cent is a longtime public adversary who has mocked Mr. Combs for decades, posted fabricated accusations, and publicly celebrated his legal challenges. Even Mr. Jackson has admitted he was shocked Sean ever filmed some of these moments, with underscores that the footage is being exploited for entertainment rather than presented with fairness or context. Beyond the legal concerns, Mr. Combs views Netflix's decision as a personal breach of trust. He has long respected Ted Sarandos, admired the legacy of Clarence Avant, and maintained a positive personal relationship with the company's leadership. For Netflix to hand his story to someone who has publicly attacked him for decades feels to Mr. Combs like an unnecessary and deeply personal affront. He expected fairness at minimum from people he considered colleagues. Keep in mind, I was also told that Diddy had been working on his own doc with Netflix prior to this release, but backed out once he couldn't have creative control. Diddy also alleges the Netflix recent pattern of prioritizing sensational content over accuracy as seen in their decision to rely on discredited, fabricated journals in a separate documentary. The use of unauthorized footage here reflects reckless disregard, not journalism. Diddy's publicist says their legal team is formally notifying Netflix and says they expect the company to address these issues immediately. I also asked how will this footage never before seen affect Diddy's appeal. Keep in mind, Diddy's team hasn't fully seen the doc either, only the footage Good Morning America revealed. In response to this, Diddy's team says it can't affect his appeal legally, but judges are human and maybe they get some emotional spirit out of this and render a decision based on some of that. Sorry guys, sometimes these motherfuckers write stuff and don't put periods and commas. But then, the next day, Netflix released this statement. The claims being made about Sean Combs' The Reckoning are false. The project has no ties to any past conversations between Sean Combs and Netflix. The footage of Combs leading up to this indictment and arrest were legally obtained. This is not a hit piece or an act of retribution. Curtis Jackson is an executive producer, but does not have creative control. No one was paid to participate. Netflix. Interesting. Well, get the lawyers out. We gonna see what happens. You know. And also, Keefee Dee, his audio is played in this documentary, I guess when he was getting interrogated and met with authorities, claiming that he was propositioned $1 million to kill Tupac. And he was never given the money. The man who put Keefee in charge of putting the hit received the money, allegedly, and never gave Keefee Dee any of it. Well, hey man, I guess that's the way the cookie crumbles. And it's funny because this morning, Charlamagne the God, love is petty, posted this about Dame Dash.
Remember when Dame Dash came on Breakfast Club and said 50 was capping about the Diddy documentary? That's the conversation.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Do you remember when 50 Cent was supposed to be putting out a documentary about Puff on Netflix?
Yes.
Where is it?
I think it's still happening.
Yeah, right. He's capping.
Yeah, Dame, sorry. You know what? I wouldn't mind a Rockefeller documentary, you know. Maybe it'll help put some pockets in, like, motherfucking some of the members of Dipset who may need it, some of the members of State Prop who may need it, some of the former Rockefeller artists who may need it. You know, I think it'll be good. You know what I'm saying? But I think it'll be good. And honestly, this documentary could have been more scathing. I think it was pretty indifferent. It was fair. You had people who were speaking about Puff in high regards, and you had people who weren't, you know? They even had 2 jurors in the documentary, which I'm like, wow, not bad. At the same time, they said, yo, domestic violence wasn't one of the charges. That's why I say, like, hey, Diddy got got a good deal, you know? Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing, the whole shit going on, you know? Hell, they even invited one of the sex workers, and he spoke on the whole Diddy playing with his semen thing. Yeah, weird. Before I let go, I will be dropping episodes every Monday and Wednesday from now on. In 2026, I will start doing YouTube lives. I'm not sure if I'm doing them on Fridays, Saturdays, or Sundays. More than likely either Friday evening or Saturday evening, you know what I'm saying? A time slot where I know everybody will be in the crib, ready to talk some shit with your boy. So yeah, good things coming in 2026. Like I always say, like, share, subscribe, comment. God is good, God is great. Thank God my paper straight. I am the Poke Chuck Paul. Peace out.